What's going on, everyone? So James Harden's official debut with the Los Angeles Clippers is today against the New York Knicks. Now, going into pre this game, James Harden had his little press conference, and there's a lot of just controversy around like some of the things that he said. He talked about how he isn't a part of a system, he is the system. But it's like, dude, what have you ever done as the system? Right? Like, you look at a guy like LeBron, right? That guy, he is the system. He doesn't really be a part of systems, but he is arguably, if not the greatest player ever, and he's won an NBA championship. Look at a guy like Jokic, right? He is the system. It's not like he's part of it. No, he is the system. I mean, everything revolves around that guy. And guess what? He's had a bunch of success. He's won an NBA championship. James Harden has gotten, individual success, right? And even Doc Rivers kind of touched on this and said, he was great. Look at how we were. We were one of the best teams in the league during the stretch where he was part of the team and he was bought in and he was committed and he was doing the things that we asked of him. And then they were like, well, when do you think that? And he's like, when he didn't become an all-star, like that's when you saw everything change. He was like almost immediately, like those 2 games after. And that's the problem. Like, he wants the personal accolades. He wants to be the guy. He wants to be the man, right? He wants to be the one that all the media is talking about, rather in this negative light, talking about in a positive light, right? He doesn't want them talking about how he's, disappearing in between playoff games and heading to Vegas and stuff, right? Now he's in LA. So now he's just, a 4-hour drive, an hour flight. And even Joel Embiid weighed in on this, right? So Joel countered James Harden. Sixers let him do his thing, right? But in my opinion, we gave him the ball every single possession because he's really good. He's an amazing player. Obviously, being that great of a passer, I think we gave him the ball. We'd give him the ball every single possession to just go out and, do his thing. And from there, he had to make decisions as far as getting guys open and looking out for himself, right? And look, James Harden led the league in assists last year. It's not like he had this terrible year. He's an excellent playmaker. But if he thinks he's going to the Clippers and just going to be James Harden, like Houston James Harden, then the Clippers are in big trouble. One, I don't think James Harden's going to do that because I don't think they're going to allow him to do that. But also, right, that's not what the Clippers need. The Clippers don't need James Harden to be, 5 years ago James Harden. They need him to be the guy he was in that portion of Philly where he is the best playmaker. He is one of the best point guards. He is leading the league in assists because you got guys in Kawhi Leonard, a Paul George. You got a bunch of shooters. You got the things that you need to have success with him as a playmaker. He's still going to be able to go get his buckets. He's still going to be able to put points on the board. And I'm sure that there will be moments throughout the course of a game where he will get to be him, where he will get to kind of go, because I don't think that that's a terrible thing, right? Like, it's like, hey, we're going to manage Kawhi and Paul George, so you're going to get 10 minutes a game to basically be everything that you want to be and then some, right? Like, you get to go by yourself and get to run with everyone else, like run with the second unit, things like that, which Doc Rivers even talked about, how James Harden hit him up and said, hey, like, I want to run with the second unit more. Why? Because he wanted to be James Harden, right? He wanted to be able to go drop 30 points. And so I think Ty Lue, he's going to have to find a proper balance, right? But more times than not, James Harden's going to have to commit and buy into what the team needs him to do, not what he wants to do, right? Because again, the goal is to win an NBA championship. The goal is him, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, the 3 of them teaming up and finally winning the Clippers their first ever NBA championship. They're not doing that if James Harden is trying to be Houston James Harden, because it's just going to clash. It's going to be difficult enough trying to figure out how to make 4 on-ball guys work, right? Like, I mean, look, we've talked in the past about how, like, oh, there's only one basketball, like, and that's always like a run-in joke, right? Oh, like, that's not going to work because it's only one basketball, right? But more times than not, like, you'll see, like, Giannis and Dame right now are having struggles at times, right? It hasn't gone as smooth as they had hoped. Because, again, there's only one basketball. They're both used to being the guy. They're both used to getting however many shots that they want. They're used to dominating the basketball, right? And so they have to figure that out. But a lot of times players do, right? They work it out. Think of like Boston's big three. You have the Miami Heat big three, the Cavs big three, right? Like the Warriors with Kevin Durant and all that stuff, right? Like one of the number one guys from another team had to be the second, third option. And you had that pecking order, right? But the difference is that also one of those guys in a LeBron James, right, was the playmaker, was the guy that, yeah, he got his, but he also was able to set other guys up and allow everyone to eat. Or a Rondo with the Boston Celtics, Also, they had guys that were super efficient, right? Like, look at like a team like the Warriors, right? Why did Steph and KD work, which a lot of people thought wouldn't? Both are super efficient. Both don't need the ball in their hands. Yes, they're both great with the ball in their hands, but they don't need it in their hands to be effective. Kawhi is an absolute black hole. Paul George, he's more of a willing passer at times, but he still needs the ball in his hands, and he's best when the ball is in. He's also their best creative shot maker, right? He's also their best difficult shot maker. Like, the shots that Paul George is able to make are ridiculous at times. And they're going to need to have the ball in their hands. They're going to need to be able to make plays and get their shot attempts. And the only way that's really going to happen is if James Harden buys into the playmaker role, right? Like, look at Russell Westbrook. Why is Russell Westbrook fitting in so well with the Clippers? Because he's really embraced that playmaker role. The dude's out there just wheeling and dealing. He's getting his still here and there, right? But he's not giving you a 30-point triple-double because the Clippers don't need that. Yes, he's had games where he's gotten, 25 and still gets 13 assists, right? And those games where he's on and he can pick and choose, and, he has moments where you don't have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on the court, so he can kind of just go be Russ. I think James Harden will kind of have that. But, oh yeah, they still have Russell Westbrook. So how does that look? How does that work? We know what James Harden and Russell Westbrook look like. Wasn't success. And what? James Harden is going to come in. That's more likely than not going to relegate Russell Westbrook to the bench, which, look, James Harden needs to start over Russ, but Russ has, again, been very good to them, or for them. He's embraced and bought in. Is he capable of playing off the bench? Absolutely. But does he start feeling some type of way? It's just, there's just so many different messes that could be created from this, right? There's so many different just like disasters that I could see boiling up. Not to mention, the injuries with Kawhi and Paul George. James Harden hasn't really been a supermodel of success as far as health-wise goes. He looks out of shape even, right? That's a concern too, right? How in shape is he? How, fit is he? On top of that, it's like, even if, let's say, everybody's healthy, everything's great, I definitely think during the regular season, James Harden's going to help tremendously. Like, I think the Clippers will be much better with James Harden during the regular season. It's the playoffs is the problem. Because then, does James Harden show up in the playoffs? Paul George is known to completely disappear in the playoffs, right? Pandemic P. Kawhi, you know he'll show up. Russ, he's going to do his thing, but, he has his flaws, his ailments. I'm not sold on this team, right? Look, if they're able to figure it out and they're able to make it work, and, Russ accepts his role, James Harden accepts his role, and everyone just kind of looks at it as like, hey, let's go win our first chips because Paul George doesn't have one. James Harden and Russell Westbrook don't have one. Like, let's do whatever we have to go get that NBA championship. Like, if all these guys really buy in, embrace their roles, accept their roles, then I do think that they have the potential to be a very good, very tough team. I don't know if James Harden is going to be able to fix his playoff ailments. Same thing with Paul George. But if they can, then, I think that they could be a very good basketball team. Look, if on paper, they're ridiculous. On paper, no one would be shocked if they win an NBA championship. But the Clippers on paper have been a legit contender every year the last 10 years. Every year, it's the Clippers year. Every year is, that's it. You get media and all these people just picking the Clippers and hyping them up and all that stuff. And every year, they're a second round exit, or they are a play-in team, or they miss the playoffs, or they do whatever. I can't believe in you, and I can't buy into you until you prove to me otherwise, right? James Harden, look, if we're being honest, if it wasn't for Golden State's Kevin Durant Warriors, James Harden probably has an NBA championship, right? Or I think it's very likely that he has an NBA championship. But look, it didn't happen. So what is James Harden going to do? What is he going to be? Is he going to be the guy that accepts the role and wants to win? Or is he going to be a guy that's looking at it like this is about me. I want to be an all-star. I want the individual accolades. I want to win a scoring title. I want to be James Harden of old. It's what scared off the Houston Rockets, right? Houston was like, yeah, no, we're good, hard pass. We don't need James Harden of old. Right? Like, because he's not that. He's not the same guy. He's still an excellent player. He still could absolutely make a huge impact. I think in the right circumstance, in the right situation, I think he can win an NBA championship. But if he wanted to be James Harden, why would you go to the Clippers? Where you're like the third guy, like the clear-cut third guy. Like, why would you want to go to the Clippers? Right? Why not try to force your way to a team like Miami? Like, I think Miami needs old school James Harden more than the Clippers do. Right? Because they need that scorer, that playmaker, that guy that can go give you 30, in 15. Right? Like, and James Harden could do that. And Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo would be more willing to kind of let James Harden be James Harden because that's kind of what they need. Right? Now, I get you can make the argument, right? Miami probably wouldn't want anything to do with James Harden, but, they could have easily traded for James Harden, tried it for a year, and then, if it doesn't work out, you just let him go, right? Trade like Kyle Lowry or whatever, right? Like, it's not like Clippers gave up a farm. They gave up basically what Miami could have given up, right? And so, I don't know. I just think if James Harden wanted to be himself, why go to the Clippers? But then everything he says contradicts why he should go to the Clippers, right? Like, the Clippers need playmaking James Harden, right? The Clippers could really use playmaking James Harden, right? Like Sixers, Brooklyn Nets, James Harden, that's what the Clippers need badly. But Houston, James Harden, Clippers need to stay as far away from that as possible. But Anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you think he has success with the Clippers? Are you excited for his debut? Do you think it's going to be a total disaster? Right? Like, I'm willing to give it time and see where this, road goes, but I'm not like if I had to take a guess, I think this goes disastrous because we just have more evidence that that's going to be the case. But again, however you feel, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on bell notifications. Appreciate you. See you all in the next one. Thank you.